ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, Chapter 4. Appearance of Sri Narada, text number 3. Kasmin yuge prabhrutta yam kasmin yuge prabhrutte yam sthane va kena hetuna स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः। कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः। कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं
कृतवान् संहितां
प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः। कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः।
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन
हेतुना संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः। कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम् स्थाने वा केन हेतुना कृतः संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः ऑनलाइन
अस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णा
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्ण
तवान् संहिता मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां
मुनिः
कस्मिन् युगे sorry
प्रवृत्तेयम्
युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवर्तेयम्
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णा
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
कृतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेनां
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
कुतः संचोदिता कृष्णा
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कर्तवन् संहितं मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
संहितां मुनिः
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
कस्मिन् युगे प्रवृत्तेयम्
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
स्थाने वा केन हेतुना
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कुतः संचोदितः कृष्णः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः
कृतवान् संहितां मुनिः synonyms kasmin in which yuge period pravrata was begun yam this sthane in the place va or kena on what hetuna ground kutaha where from sanchoditaha inspired by krishnaha krishna dvaipayana vyasa kritavan compiled samhitam vedic literature munihi the learned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: in what period and at what place was this first begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Translation with repetition: in what period and at what place was this first begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage get the inspiration to compile this literature. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva, there are so many inquiries by the learned Saunaka Muni. It was known to them that Srila Vyasadeva had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to the Mahabharata for the understanding of less intelligent women, Sudras, and fallen members of the family of twice-born men. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them because it has nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Jnanaatimirandhasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let's understand this verse a little more. Kasmin yuge prabhritteyam sthane va kena hetuna utah sanchodita Krishnaha kritavan samhitam munihi. So if you see this verse, actually, when we are taught in English language, if you have to ask questions, you have to ask when, where, why, what. Probably all these questions are covered here by Saunaka Rishi. Kasmin, in which yuge, in which period? Prabhritta. Prabhritta is begun. So when did this start? When did all this happen? When did Bhagavatam come about? Kasmin yuge prabhriteyam sthaneva kena hetuna. Sthaneva, in which place? Where did it start? Sthaneva kena hetuna. Kutah sanchoditah Krishna. Sanchodita is inspired. Kutah, why? Why Vedavyas? So here the word used is Krishna, and word to word is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Vyasadeva, who's a literally incarnation, is also known as Krishna. This is Krishna Dvaipayana. He was born in island, Dvipa. So that's why he's called Dvaipayana, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Kutah Sanchoditah Krishna. Why was he inspired to compile this? Kritavan is to compile Samhitam Munihi. Samhitam is referring to Bhagavatam, this Vedic literature, Munihi. Oh learned sage, why did Vedavyas compile this? When did it start? And where did it start? So the translation is, in what period? Kasmin yuge. And at what place? Sthane va kena hetuna. Was this first begun? Prabhritteyam. And why was this taken up? Kutah sanchoditaha. From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Kutah sanchoditaha Krishna kritavan samhitam munihi. Where did he get the inspiration to compile this literature? Who is speaking this verse, Ray? Yanji? Yes. So I think we had discussed this last class elaborately. This is Saunaka Rishi asking the question to Sutta Muni. Sutta Muni is the one who's sitting in the assembly to speak, where these questions have been asked by the sages, in the assembly of sages. And in the previous verse, in the last week, we saw that Suta Suta Mahabhaga Vadano Vadatamvara Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yad Aha Bhagavan Chukaha. So this was spoken by Saunaka Rishi. So he had addressed Suta Goswami twice. It was not a redundancy, it is not a grammatical mistake, but out of his great eagerness to hear Suta Suta Mahabhaga, Vadano Vadatambara. There are so many people who can speak about Bhagavatam, but you are Shrestha, Vadatambara. Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yadaha Bhagavan Chukaha. That Bhagavata, which you heard in the assembly of Sukadev Goswami, when he spoke, Yadaha Bhagavan Sukha. Sukadev Goswami is addressed here as Bhagavan. Katham Bhagavatim Punyam, that auspicious Bhagavatam that you heard, can you please speak? That's what they had requested. And so we had seen all this. Suta Goswami is twice addressed herein by Saunaka Goswami out of great joy, because he and the members of the assembly were eager to hear the text of Bhagavatam uttered by Sukadev Goswami. And today's verse we are seeing that he's asking more details about Bhagavatam. In what period and at what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Interestingly, if you see, this is written by Vedavyas, but he's writing it in third person. He's not writing, where did I get this inspiration from? He's writing, in what period and what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Because he is referring to this conversation which is happening between Saunaka Rishi and Suta Goswami. One of the important things which we had seen in the last class was this verse, which was there in the previous chapter. And it says, Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Ittha Yad Vasudeve Khila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakamatma Bhava Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha. Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Ittha Yad Vasudeve Khila Lokanathe. So this was a verse spoken by Suta Goswami. Ateha Dhanya. He was telling that these inquiries that you are making are all great, all successful. Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Ittha. You will get transcendental knowledge because of these inquiries. Yad Vasudeva Khila Lokanathe, because these are all related to Vasudeva. Gurvanti Sarvatmaka Atma Bhava Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha. Why these are so dhanya? Because by knowing this knowledge, Na Yatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugra, one will not take birth again in this repeated cycle of birth and death. Parivarta Ugra. Ugra is very cruel. In this cruel cycle of birth and death, one will not come. That's why this is so glorious. Only by making such inquiries in this world, one can be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries, invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, Kurvanti Sarva Atmakam Atma Bhava, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantee 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. So there is a guarantee which is given that it will guarantee 100% immunity from the cycle of birth and death. That is why it is so relevant, and that is why they are asking, and that's why Saunaka Rishi is so eager. Suta Suta Mahabhaga is addressing him twice. Please now tell. And having addressed Suta Goswami so nicely, this is the first question which is put forward by Saunaka Rishi, that how did all this begin? Where did Bhagavatam come about? And why Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa was inspired to compile Bhagavatam, Kritavan. The word Kritavan is actually used in the first canto, first chapter also. There is that verse. Kritavan Kila Karmani 1:120. Saha Ramena Keshavaha. Atimartyani Bhagavan Gudha Kapata Manusaha. Kritavan. Krita means to do. Kritavan, who's doing it. Kritavan Kila Karmani. This is referring to the wonderful activities performed by Saha Ramena Keshavaha, by Krishna along with Balaram. Kritavan kila karmani Saha Ramena Keshavaha, Atimartyani Bhagavan Gudha Kapatamanusaha. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. So the word Kritavan is used very many in various places in Srimad Bhagavatam. Here it is referring to compiled. Why Bhagavatam was compiled? Why Vedavyas got inspiration to compile this literature? And we have a very small purport. We may wonder then what is there in that to see, but then the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's purport, when we read this many times, we get this. So if you see the first thing which Prabhupada is writing in the purport, the first line, because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva, there are so many inquiries by the learned Saunaka Muni. So there is a because. Why is he making all these inquiries? Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva. So it is a special contribution by Vyasadeva, and that is why so many inquiries are made by the learned Saunaka Muni. He is not some dumb fellow, he doesn't know what it is. Actually, all these sages were well conversant, well versed with all the Vedic literatures. They knew everything. When Sukadev Goswami is answering the questions of Parikshit, sometimes Parikshit is very eager to hear what happened to Krishna when Putana came and started breastfeeding him. It is not that Parikshit was not knowing the answer, but yet he is very eager to hear. He wants to hear it from Sukadev Goswami's mouth. So like that, these sages, it is not that they didn't know what Bhagavatam is and they are asking for the first time, oh Sutta Goswami, please tell us. No, they are well versed, they are learned, yet they want to know, because they want to hear the glories of Krishna, they want to hear the glories of his devotees. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva, there are so many inquiries by the learned Saunaka Muni. One thing to ask is, why Srimad Bhagavatam is a special contribution? What is so special about Bhagavatam? So to understand this, let's understand how this material world works. So if you see, in material world, if we want to do anything, we need to have knowledge. Without knowledge, there is no activity. I mean, you can say that I can perform some activity, but if you lack the skill set, if you lack the knowledge, then that activity is not going to result in anything. So we need knowledge for every activity that we do. We need to have a know-how of what to do. And without knowledge, performing activity is foolishness. At one place, Prabhupada says that if there is no knowledge and a person is just performing activity, then it is like sentiment. And if there is only knowledge and there is no activity, then it is called mental speculation. So we need knowledge and we need activity. Now, if you see the difference between animals and human life is meant to be progressive. Progressive means human life is supposed to learn this knowledge and rectify their activities. If we see the animal kingdom, they do the same activities over and over. A dog keeps on barking, a cat chases a rat, or there are birds who are there in the sky, they just keep flying infinitely. There is no change that happens. There is nothing which is changing in their day-to-day activities. But human life is not meant to be lived like that. Human life is meant to be progressive. If it is not progressive, then it is not unique. There is nothing great about a human life. If we just keep doing the same things and don't improve, don't change our activities, don't rectify, it's just a waste of time. So if that is the case, actually, even if we take up to this process of devotion, we should ask ourselves, am I really making progress? Am I really making transformation within in terms of the activities that I am doing? Or is it the same? I used to be short-tempered, I used to be argumentative, I used to fight, I used to quarrel, I used to have jealousy, I used to have pride, I used to have greed, lust. Am I still having that? Or I'm making some progress? If one is not careful about this, even if one is engaged in devotional activities, even if one is doing something, one should very carefully and very clearly ask, what are the activities I'm indulging in the whole day? What activities? Okay, you are doing some devotional activities, good. But how much is the devotional activity and how much of the other activities which I'm doing, which are meant for my own sense gratification or for my own pleasure, not meant for Krishna? So very important question to ask is, what all activities a person is indulging in or is doing the whole day? So you may say, okay, I'm doing so many activities, I'm doing this service, that service, okay. Second question should be asked is, in what mood we are doing that service? Is it meant for giving pleasure to the Lord, or is it meant for something else? Sometimes people come to temple with different intentions. Even after understanding the whole process of devotion, understanding the necessity of spiritual knowledge and how it can transform, it can elevate us, and it can, take us back to whom, back to Godhead, yet they don't change. They come with an intention of seeing, when the prasadam is going to be served, or after prasadam is served, whatever is remaining, how I can take that, or if there is something which is not. The whole idea is not about practicing devotional life. The whole idea is something very trivial. The point is not I'm trying to say that somebody is doing or something else is happening. But the thing is, what drives us? The thing which drives us is some very small, petty benefits, where I come and I just take something, or I go and I come at a time when I can just honor prasadam and just leave. No service, nothing, no understanding of spiritual life, nothing. I just take that up, go. Or if I have contributed something, if I have given some thing for the Lord's service, I still feel that I have given so that it belongs to me. I'll take it back with me. Then where is the question of giving? Or for that matter, somebody who thinks that, well, because of my skills, because of my ability, I'm able to do so much. I'm just, going and meeting people. I'm showing so many things. I'm telling this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What is the point? What am I trying to do in this? Am I really trying to please Krishna? Am I really trying to do something which is meant for my purification, or I'm doing something just for the sake of doing something, or for showing people that, oh, I'm doing so much of services? That question needs to be asked to oneself, not to anybody else. That is why the difference between animal life and human life is that human life, all these activities that we are performing can be regulated, can be performed in a manner where we can do it in relationship with the Lord. Animals cannot do this. They don't have that understanding. They don't have that intelligence. But human beings can do that. But unfortunately, even after understanding, even after knowing the importance of spiritual life, we go for some very petty things, because that's what exactly Chaitanya Charitamrita points, that along with Bhakti Lata, there are other creepers also which grow. And that is, they are called Puja, Labha, Pratishtha, Putinati. So these are all things which one has to be very careful. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he's instructing this to Rupa Goswami, he's comparing the living entity or the soul to a gardener. Now, there is a difference between a farmer and a gardener. Farmer just puts the seeds and leaves it. It grows. He's not so careful about it. But a gardener is very, very careful to see if there are unwanted weeds which are growing in that. Nobody else will know other than the gardener, because he's the one who's supposed to take care of that garden. And garden is our soul, is our heart. In the heart, when the Bhakti Lata is growing, along with Bhakti Lata, there are so many other unwanted creepers which grow, which look alike the Bhakti creeper. Which is like, oh, people should recognize me. People should pat me. People should tell me you are such a great person. You are giving so much. You are doing so nice. Unless that comes, there is no rasa. There is no devotional service. I did this. Nobody is saying thumbs up. Nobody is doing patting on my back. What is the point? Nobody is recognizing. Is that what really meant for this devotional activity? That somebody has to come and pat me. Somebody has to do service. Somebody has to recognize me. No, I'm supposed to serve. I'm supposed to satisfy Krishna. That's the whole goal of devotional activity. But then we get so sidetracked so many times because all these weeds which grow, and if we are not careful and cautious about it, then they will jeopardize the Bhakti Lata creeper. The Bhakti Lata creeper will be stunted. The growth is stunted. So that is why the most important thing for Bhakti Lata to grow, there are two things. One is taking shelter of the Lord, or hearing and chanting, that is the jala, the water which is fed, and then removing this from the heart, or taking out this unwanted things. Both have to be done. So sometimes when we say people that we should hear, actually if we just don't hear for few days, not even few days, maybe even just a day or two, we ourselves can see the degradation of our consciousness. When sometimes because of festivals or something, when we are busy with so many services, and then after that we realize that if we have not heard sufficiently, the consciousness has gone down. Prabhupada compares hearing the glories of Krishna or the activities of Krishna and hearing the holy name of the Lord as medicine. Now, when we go to a doctor for a disease and we ask for a medicine, we take the medicine and we get cured. How does the medicine work within us? We don't know. How does it work? But it works because we feel better. We get cured. Similarly, this process of hearing works. How does it work? We don't know how does it work, but it cleanses. It cleanses our consciousness from all the impurities. But if one is not developing an attachment or eagerness to hear, or not interested, is inviting trouble. It's just a matter of time when things will be very different. So that is why in Bhagavatam, very nicely it is described how rare it is to get a human form of life, because the animals, the other living entities, they cannot rectify their activities. They will go on doing based on their instincts. In a verse which comes in the 11th canto, it is mentioned, Nirdeha madhyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam mayanu kulena navasvataritam puman bhavadbhim nataret saatmaha. Nirdeham adyam sulabham sudurlabham. Sulabham, this is the most conducive. This is the best body. This is the best bargain of the one could have got. I mean, we have got a human form of life. Sulabham. Because only in this human form of life one can achieve that highest perfection. And it is sudurlabham. It is so rare. Plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam. This is actually a great boat. Sukalpam guru karnadharam. And fortunately, we have got a nice captain in the form of Guru, who is well versed, who knows how to cross this material ocean. Mayanu kulena navasvataritam. On top of that, there is a favorable wind in the form of the Lord's instruction which is available. Puman bhavadbhim na taret sa atmaha. If after this, all these things, a human being is not crossing this ocean of material existence, na taret, Sa Atma. He's a killer of his own soul. So the translation is, the human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. So it is actually a very very cautious walk that one has to do this human life, because it is depleting. In the 11th canto, again, there are two examples which are given of a lamp where there is a wick which is burning. Bhagavatam says the wick which is burning is not the same every second or every moment. It changes because it is constantly burning. Like that, our human body is constantly getting degraded. Every moment we are dying, every second. So the time is depleting, time is running away. And it is not the same. But we look at ourselves, we feel it's fine, it's great, we have a lot of time. Let's do this afterwards. Or let's, today we can enjoy. Tomorrow I will come back. Or even tomorrow can be even another excuse I can enjoy, and after that I'll see. Actually, we have very, very less time. Like the wick which is burning, which is not the same every moment, like that our body is not the same every moment. It is constantly changing. How soon the time goes, we have no idea. Like the river which is flowing constantly, and when we want to touch it in two different points of time, they're not the same because it has flown. Like that our life has gone. It is always going. It is constantly moving. But we identify with our body and we think that I have a lot of time, I have a lot of these things which I can do, and I take it very lightly. And even after taking devotion, understanding what is the importance of this, there also I'm not careful. I'm looking for something which is silly, because we don't analyze these things. We think that we're doing devotional service, that's a great thing. Actually, it is nothing great. I mean, it is a great fortune on us that we are getting an opportunity to render some devotional service to the Lord. But if we are not careful how we are doing devotional service, in what mood we are doing devotional service, and what all other activities we are doing apart from that, then there will not be any change, there will not be any transformation. And unfortunately, even if we don't like to take birth in another species of life, we are forced to take birth. There is a purport in Srimad Bhagavatam which is spoken by Prabhupada. So I didn't have that. One second, I'll show it. Very interesting purport. So this is a purport in the 4th canto, 22nd chapter, 33rd verse. Prabhupada is writing, Jnana or knowledge means to understand one's constitutional position. And Vijnana refers to practical application of that knowledge in life. In the human form of life, one should come to the position of Jnana and Vijnana. But despite this great opportunity, if one does not develop knowledge and practical application of knowledge through the help of a spiritual master in the Shastras, in other words, if one misuses this opportunity, then in the next life is sure to be born in a species of non-moving living entities. Non-moving living entities include hills, mountains, trees, plants, etc. This stage of life is called punyatam or mukhyatam, namely making all activities zero. You see how rare and how great opportunity is available in front of us to apply this jnana and vijnana. Jnana or knowledge means to understand one's constitutional position, and vijnana refers to practical application of that knowledge in life. Not that I constantly remember what I used to do or how I was, and I'll continue to behave in that way. And this is the way I am. I don't want to change. I can't change myself. Then where is the question of progressive life? Where is the utilization of the spiritual knowledge? So we are actually wasting our human form of life if we are not using this knowledge. That's why this verse is saying, that's why this verse is saying, if you see the purport, that this Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva. Why this is special contribution? Because the knowledge which is shared here is directly in relationship with the Supreme Lord. All other Vedic literatures, that's why his Prabhupada is writing, it was known to them that Srila Vyasadeva had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to Mahabharata for the understanding of less intelligent women, Sudras, and fallen members of the family of Christ-born men. Vedavyas has already compiled all the way up to Mahabharata. Mahabharata is considered to be the last composition of Vedavyas, where every knowledge, every aspect of how should one lead one's life is given. But still, Vyasadeva was despondent. He was not satisfied after writing all this. Because all these activities, since human beings perform a lot of activities, there are a lot of Vedic literatures which are required. And Vedavyas compiled all those things, but yet at the end of that, he was not satisfied. And that is where he's writing this special literature, special contribution called Srimad Bhagavatam, which is written directly in relationship with the Supreme Lord. So just by hearing, just by following, just by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get purified. We've been reading this wonderful Prabhupada Leelamrita, and there it is mentioned how much of austerity Prabhupada has gone through just to publish this first few editions of Srimad Bhagavatam. How much of austerity? Why so much of pain for this? He could have gone, because anyway he was going penniless. Hardly there was anything. One umbrella and few clothes, that also somebody sponsored him, that he was only carrying and going. Why was he so insistent in taking this Bhagavatam with him? Because Prabhupada had this firm conviction, and this is what Bhagavatam says. Yad bhag visargo janataga viplava yasmin pratislokam abadhavati api namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat shrvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. Yad bhag visarga means these words, the secondary creation, visarga, this is the way these are composed and this information is available. Yad bhag visargo janatagha viplava, it can bring a revolution. Janatagha viplava. In whose life? In the sinful, misdirected civilization in this material world. Janatagha viplava. Yasmin pratislokam abadhavati api. Namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat shrinavanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. So the sadhavas are always busy in discussing, hearing, and understanding and applying this knowledge in their life. So that is why this is a unique position of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not different from the Lord. It is mentioned actually how, as I was just giving one example, it's given how Prabhupada, for this publishing, he used to travel from Vrindavan to Bombay to get some sponsors. Not just sponsors, if he gets his sponsors, he used to go to Delhi, to Chippiwada. There is a place where he used to go for printing. He himself used to buy the paper, go to the printing press, get it printed. He didn't have enough money to buy the whole thing. So he will say that I'll take this and sell it so that, I'll give you money and you can print, or you can, so it is all in, it's so much of, austerity, so much of sacrifice Prabhupada has made to, make this knowledge available to us. One time it is mentioned that Prabhupada had gone to meet this Sumati Morarji, the owner of Scindia shipping company, who sponsored the ticket for Srila Prabhupada. Not for getting a sponsorship of ticket from her to travel to US, but to get the third volume of first canto printed. So he had gone there and he was waiting, and the secretary of Mr. Sumati Morarji, Mr. Choksi, he was not very favorable to let Prabhupada in and meet her. And he was always telling that she is busy, she is not there, she is not having time. Prabhupada sat on the steps of her office for 5 long hours because there was no other place. He waited there so that when she is exiting, she could look at him and then he could speak and he could tell that, this request. And so it so happened that he was waiting there in hot sun for 5 hours. And when she was exiting from her office, he asked, "Who's this man?" So her secretary, Choksi, he told that this sadhu has been waiting for last 6 hours to talk to you regarding the printing of this Bhagavatam. He's already published 2 volumes. He wants some money for the 3rd volume. How much Prabhupada has struggled for this, and how, because they understand the importance of this. And this knowledge is available. This wonderful form of this wonderful literature is available to us in English language so that we can make use of it. But instead, if we are all busy in saying, "Oh, this person is doing that person is doing this," I come with another motive, not really making progress. This progressive life is what I was yesterday, what I am doing. I should be very mindful of my activities. I should develop those Vaishnava qualities. I should purify myself, and at the end of life, I should go back home, back to Godhead. That's the real purpose of human life. That is why it is mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them, because it has nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant. Otherwise, we can make so many inquiries. What is happening to this? Why this is not happening? Why that is not there? What kind of these things? All these kind of things we can make inquiry about. The real inquiry is about the Lord, about Bhagavatam, and that is why this is very intelligent and relevant, because it can give us that knowledge which we are lacking. As I said, even in mundane world, material world, to do any activity, we need knowledge. So to come out of this cycle of birth and death, parivarta ugraha, we need this transcendental knowledge. We need some knowledge which is not going to cheat us. That is how Bhagavatam says in the beginning, Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu sivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimba Parer Ishvaraha Sadyo Hridi Avarudhyate Atra Kritibhi Shushrushuvi Tatshanat. So Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite. Krite is again compiled by that Mahamuni. Kritavan, here it is referred to. So that Bhagavatam literature is there available to us. He is telling what other literature is required. So how serious, how eager we should be in hearing, understanding and reading this Bhagavatam. So that is the essence of this verse. We will continue to see what Saunaka Rishi is further going to ask, and the beautiful explanations of Suta Goswami in the subsequent verses. Anybody has any question or comment?
Hey Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, there is a question here. I'll just repeat the question for you and then I'll come back. Yes. So the answer will not come in this verse. When we will go, the answer will be given by Suta Goswami. All the questions asked will be answered by him. Yes, Lakshmanaran Prabhu.
Yeah, it's in this, it's mentioned twice born men, Prabhu. What does that mean here in this?
Okay, so twice born men is referring to Dvija or Brahmanas, but if you see the purport says, what is that? It was known to them that Srila Vyasadeva had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to the Mahabharatas for the understanding of the less intelligent women, Sudras, and fallen members of the family of twice born men. So this is referring to Stri, Sudra, and Dvijaputra, Dvijabandhu. Dvijabandhu are, even though they are born in the family of Brahmanas, they don't act like Brahmanas. So they are called Dvijabandhus. Fallen members of the family of twice born. So by birth, one doesn't become Brahmana. It's by the karma, by the samskaras, by the purificatory activities. That decides who really a Brahmana is. So this is referring to those people who are, even though born in the family of Brahmanas, don't act like Brahmana. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Who spoke this verse? Sonakrish. To whom? To whom? Whom did he speak to? Who was seated there? So it's some of the, see, there are two speakers here, Suta Goswami, and previously he heard it from Sukadev Goswami, Bhagavan Sukha. Suta Goswami is sitting, and there is an assembly of sages, which is headed by Sonaka Rishi. Sonaka Rishi is asking questions, Suta Goswami is answering. This is how it is. So these are questions now. The first 6 questions which are asked by Sonaka Rishi has already been answered by Suta Goswami. So now from this chapter onwards, he's going to ask some new set of questions. So this is one of the questions. How did Bhagavatam come about? Why did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, where did he get the inspiration to compile this? When did he write this? This is all about Bhagavatam. And then, so the real conversation which happened, I mean the original conversation between Sukadev and Parikshit will come only in the second canto. So this is the question which they are asking. He'll ask few more questions, and Suta Goswami will go on answering the whole first canto of Bhagavatam, 19 chapters, which includes how Parikshit took birth, which includes how Sukadev Goswami took birth, how did he appear. All these things they'll ask, and he'll go on answering. But the first thing is the question that he's going to answer is about Bhagavatam. How did it come about? What was and when did it come about? Any other question? No other question. We will stop here and see tomorrow. So next week, wonderful Bhagavatam and how did it come about. So join us for that. Jagrantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.